Fáilte roimh goléir an nocht. In Liana Nochadó, All Ireland is on tomorrow, and this is the eve of the All Ireland. And here am I endeavouring to be impartial. And indeed, I will try to be impartial so far as that is possible. To help me in my discourse tonight, I have the chairman of the two county boards, Nicky Brennan from Kilkenny and Tony O'Mahony from Cork. Fáilte romper. And Nicky, you were here last year, Nicky, and you didn't make it that day.
Well, we plan to atone tomorrow, hopefully.
Has Cork anything to say about that? Anyway, what about it though? It was a tough game last year.
Well, it was a game really in hindsight that we realised we could have won. We were very disappointed. I think our younger players, perhaps the occasion overawed them a little bit. And we're hoping that the experience of playing last year will stand to them in this year, tomorrow. That's what we're hoping for anyway. I'm sure Cork will have something to say about that.
How about that though too, Nicky? You yourself were a hurler of quality. I remember you well way back in the 70s, wasn't it?
70s and 80s.
70s and 80s, yeah. How about that though? I mean, does the experience of one game help you in the next one, All Ireland?
I think it certainly does. I mean, the occasion was a big occasion for a lot of our younger players last year. And you know, perhaps the day passed them by without them ever really realising what happened. As well as that, Tipperary were a very experienced team, and they had a couple of players who grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck, and in the end, they more than anybody else, Pat Fox and Michael Cleary in particular, who you know, dictated how the game finished in the end. So I think we're better prepared for the game tomorrow. I think our players are more eager this year than last year, and are hopefully a lot wiser.
How about that, Tony? Are you going to let them away with it like that? Is it going to be that easy for them?
Well, Liam, I suppose we have to wait for until tomorrow to answer that one. But OK, I suppose it is maybe a bit of a help to Kilkenny that they were through the mill, so to speak, last year. But however, I think on the other hand, our preparations have gone very well and a lot of hard work has been put in. So I am optimistic, certainly not overconfident. You don't treat Kilkenny without showing respect for them. And I'm looking forward to a classical final tomorrow.
The kind of a question I want to ask you both is, did either of you really expect to be here on the first Sunday of September at the beginning of the year? What about you, Tony?
I suppose in our case, when you were from Cork, you always hold out some hope of reaching an All-Ireland final. But OK, going back to the start of the league, we performed very badly in our opening league games. Then after Christmas we had a good run. But went down, I suppose, rather disappointingly to Limerick. And I must admit that at that stage I got rather pessimistic. But, of course, our team management had their plans up their sleeve all the time and they were keeping their cards close to their chest. So I think they got it right, and hopefully that will be proven to be the case tomorrow. So I know Nicky will have something else to say on that, obviously.
How about you, Nicky? Did you feel you were going to be here at the beginning of the year?
Well, I always felt we had a very good chance. I think, like Tony, we always feel optimistic at the beginning of each year. There's a great air of hope and expectancy in a county like Kilkenny for our hurlers. We did not have an impressive league campaign. In fact, 2 of our games we were quite appalling in them. So there was an element of pessimism set in at that particular stage also. But I think once Ollie Walsh and the team got together early in the late spring and that, things started to come together. The appetite of the players started to become, the attitude got right, and we took off from there, even though we had a tough campaign to get here. And I think we were always hopeful we would get here, and we're glad we have now. But there's little point in being here unless we come out on the right side tomorrow.
Yeah, well, Tony will have a view on that. I really feel about it, though, that Cork Kilkenny is the classic of hurling, or supposedly the classic of hurling. And I kind of ask myself that question, you know, what is that tradition, you know? What is it at all, Nicky?
Well, I suppose if you ask the traditionalists, and I mean, our guests later on will be able to expand on that a lot better than I would. But going back over the years, Cork and Kilkenny clashes have produced a lot of excitement. There can be many great stories told of clashes between individual players and great occasions. And I suppose as hurling counties we have achieved a lot in the roll of honour. And I think because of that, you know, we have met on more occasions than perhaps you know, other counties have met. So I think tradition, we're the traditionalists, I suppose, as far as that goes, and those who like traditional finals have got their wish this year.
See, the kind of thing I'm remembering is that little kids with a bit of a stick against the wall out in Blackpool, Tony, belting the ball there, they play hurling from infancy. Isn't that about the size of it?
Well, that is true. You know, I suppose in a way our inter-county games help a lot in that respect as well, in that they get across to the young people and encourage them to play. And I suppose in our own time we were all given a bit of inspiration by our inter-county players of that era. You know, I can even recall, you know, that having listened to broadcasts of the All-Ireland finals and, you know, going out afterwards and having a few pucks around and thinking someday I was going to be like them fellas. I didn't make it, but at least it had that influence on us,
there's
you know.
no doubt about it. I think it's one of the great influences. So the McCarthy Cup is there for one or other of you tomorrow. One or other of you tomorrow night is going to have that cup. And it's the new McCarthy Cup, is what it is. Very beautiful artefact indeed. I think it deserves a bowl of bust, does it not? And there in the audience is James Kelly. Chris, so is the law of James Kelly. There you are. There's James Kelly. And James, tell us about the cup, about the new McCarthy Cup. Height, weight, the rest of it.
Well, it's about 60% heavier than the original one. And it's coming in at 4 kilos. And apart from that, it's a facsimile in every other detail.
A weighty artefact, so it is. I'd love to be carrying. Come on! Who is it? Cheer, which one? Cork or Kilkenny? What about the wear and tear on it there, James? I mean, that will get a hell of a knocking about in the next while.
Yes, the original one, I don't think it was designed for the sort of treatment it got over the years.
Yeah.
And this one, I've reinforced the handles and, as I said, increased the gauge of the metal.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Liam Fennelly will have any trouble lifting it up tomorrow.
I should tell and warn everybody that James Kelly is a Kilkenny man. What about Sean Og? Sean Og Callaghan beside you there, Sean. What about the old cup? Who was this, Liam McCarthy?
The old cup, of course, the McCarthys came from Ballygarvan in County Cork, and he was a famine immigrant, and they went to London. He married Bridget Deneen from Bruff, County Limerick, but the young McCarthy got very much involved in the GAA in London, and eventually became chairman of the county board. And in 1921, he presented the Lee McCarthy Trophy for the All-Ireland winners. And it was first won, incidentally, by Limerick, and Bob McConkey was the captain of the team, and he had the unique record of scoring 4 goals in that All-Ireland. I can tell you something, if Tomás Mulcahy or Ger Fitzgerald or even Liam Fennelly score 4 goals tomorrow, they'll be heroes in the papers on Monday morning. But that was the story of the old Liam McCarthy Cup. And I was just asking James here, because that cost originally, when it was presented in 1921, about £500. And I was just wondering what the new Liam McCarthy Trophy has cost now.
I'm sworn to secrecy.
I'd say either Cork or Kilkenny will pay a lot of money to be able to buy it tomorrow night. Anyway, what we have now is a crowd of lads from Donegal. It is a great achievement that Donegal got into the football final this year, the first time ever. I thought. But as we know, though, looking at the news bulletins there in the past while, there have been rather harrowing scenes of Somalia. And these boys have written a rather lovely song in which the lines occur: let the world keep turning and let the rivers flow, let the sun keep shining and let the children grow. I thought they should sing that song tonight with the Somalia thing in mind. Goats Don't Shave is the name.
It's you that's come along, got enough forever. We got a satellite, pretty on the seas we count. The seas and share, we play the star. Yes, it's no reflection, and the ocean's eyes, the trees are burning. The world keep on turning. sunshine. Everybody's the same. Yeah, it's a politician. It's she's coming just can't have us to fake down. Let the world keep on singing. It's sunshine. I love everyone's the same. Wake up every morning and once again our lives to hear your empty promises, still compromise, and still the assets melted, still the oceans rise, but it's a falling, still the bullets fly, let the world comes. I'm there, let the sun shine. I'm the and I'm let you let the world watch. I'm the let the sun shine. I'm the let the world watch. Let the sun shine. Let it go. It's worth watching. When the river flows, sunshine.
Well, let the children grow is, of course, the message, really, that song. And here in the studio tonight we have John O'Shea, whom people have just seen on the news now, the main news, just back from Somalia. John is there, right up front. John, it's as harrowing as you're saying there, isn't it?
It is, Liam, yes. It's an unprecedented tragedy. There's now a very real possibility that the bulk of the population of Somalia will be wiped out by starvation. And I think that is pretty horrendous.
We don't need to see any more, really. We've seen it, and it is pretty harrowing, John. You're a great guy yourself. Goal is John's charity, and we have a little thing which is we do every year here in the studio. We auction a piece of sculpture, and it's done by Jarlath Daly. It's a very beautiful thing. Jarlath's in the studio here tonight, and it's a very beautiful piece of sculpture, and we're putting it up for auction now, tonight. And there's a telephone number, which I can give you. I think it's up on screen, 280-9779. Now, John, you're the one who's looking for the money. It's going to Somalia, I take it.
Yes, it is going to Somalia. You can be certain of that. And the goal nurses out there will unquestionably save lives with it. And I don't think anybody can do anything more important. Even the men doing the great deeds they're going to do in Croke Park tomorrow, it's not as important as saving the life of another human being. So I would, like to thank most especially Jarlath for doing what he's done.
I think he gets a bull of us for that.
Also, Liam, while I have the opportunity, express my gratitude to the Cork and Kilkenny teams for agreeing to play the annual Rest of Ireland goal match on Wednesday. So if it's a Kilkenny victory, it's in Nolan Park, and if Cork happen to succeed, it'll be in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. So we'd love to see a good crowd there.
John O'Shea, full of us. Now, Now, a rina uisle, but while I'm govail talkshiv and so a nocht with Cahirlach on common low class goyle, Peter Quinn, and Shinsa. Peter, quite it up. Well, Peter, we had you, I think, for the football programme last year, it's the hurling this year, and another great year. I was asking them there, Peter, about tradition, you know, and what is that? What is a great All-Ireland?
I suppose a great All-Ireland is the sort of All-Ireland we're going to have between Kilkenny and Cork tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's an All-Ireland that gives us a difference in style, because if we had both teams playing the same sort of style, and we don't have when Cork play Kilkenny, the styles are different. That's one of the ingredients that we need for a great All-Ireland, and the other one that we need is to have two teams that are superbly fit and that are playing at the top of their form, and I think we're going to have that tomorrow. I heard Nicky Brennan saying earlier that Kilkenny were appalling in a couple of their league games, and I wouldn't like to describe Kilkenny that way, but I wouldn't disagree with his assessment either, because I saw a couple of their early games, and Kilkenny, I didn't fancy that they had any chance of getting to the All-Ireland at that stage, but they've shown phenomenal improvement. Cork, of course, have been most people's, well, not everyone's favourites, but a lot of people's favourites to get to the All-Ireland since the turn of the year, and have been playing reasonably well consistently. Everyone expected Cork to be there if they beat Tipperary, and they did. Kilkenny have shown, as I said, remarkable improvement, and I think we're going to have an outstanding final tomorrow.
What about that national dimension of it? How about that? And it's going worldwide now too, isn't it?
It's going worldwide. It's going to Australia. It's going to Europe. I think this is the first time that it's going to Europe. It's not going to Europe until tomorrow night, but nevertheless it's going to Europe on the same day. It's going to North America. Obviously it's going to Britain. We were a little bit disappointed that we didn't get more coverage from some of the mainline stations, but nevertheless it is being covered anyway in lots of countries. We're getting live coverage. Not every place that we wanted it, but we're getting live coverage in enough of the world to make it not just a national event, but an international event. But ultimately, both are All-Ireland finals, whether it's in football or hurling, they're great national occasions. They are the great national occasions in our sporting calendar. That's not to take away from any other sports, but there's nothing like an All-Ireland final to raise the emotion, to raise the nostalgia, and to raise the sense of identity and sense of Irishness among the Irish people. And I have no doubt that the emigrants who will see the games tomorrow far away, that they will be nostalgic in a way that none of us who are back at home could ever understand.
That's understandable. Clare, Donegal, Down, 3 surprises this year.
Yeah, well, I suppose Down were a surprise for all the wrong reasons in football, but in hurling they were a surprise for the right reason. Clare came very good this year. I had seen them play in the final of the B Championship before Christmas, and I was impressed with their strength, and I was more impressed with their confidence. They believed that they were good enough. And you know, you asked what's tradition. One of the biggest single ingredients of tradition is the belief that you can and will win. And Clare, for the first time ever, believed this year that they could win, that they could beat Kerry. I was in Broadford. I opened Broadford pitch in Clare on the night before the Munster final. And John Maughan and the Clare players absolutely believed, and so did the other people who were involved in football in Clare, they believed that Clare could and would beat Kerry, and of course they did. Confidence is very important.
All right, Peter Quinn, if we know it. We would, I think we'd like, those of us, all of us, everybody around the country would like to send at this time our love and good wishes to Micheál O'Hare, who hasn't been well lately. We send our special love and good wishes to him. And also from those of us who knew him, and he's still going hale and hearty, but perhaps not all that well, is a great friend around Croke Park in former times is Phelim O'Brien. We send our love and good wishes to Phelim also. Now then, all of the populated parishes around the country, nowadays, especially the West of Ireland, they know about this theme of their love being in America. And we thought we'd ask Dolores Keane and John Fortune to sing about that for us.
My love is in America, and I miss him tonight. So much so, I feel like taking the money we've saved and catching the flight, and catching the flight. The children are asleep in bed, and I'm on my own. Even though I've read his letters again and again, I'm alone. I'm all alone.
And the money I send home is never enough. There's an ocean that keeps us apart. I'm aching for home, but I mustn't give up.
What about this aching heart? Johnny, come home. I need you tonight. I need you tonight. My love is in America, and it's hard to go out, just because certain assumptions are made when your man's not about, when your man's not about. My love is in America, and I'm not so sure. Maybe I'd rather him here in my arms and us to be poor, and us to be poor.
And the money I send home is never enough. There's an ocean that keeps us apart. I'm aching for home, but I mustn't give up.
What about this aching heart? Johnny, come home. I need you tonight.
I need you tonight.
I need you tonight.
I need you tonight.
Johnny, come home. I need you tonight.
I need you tonight.
I need you tonight.
I need you tonight.
Johnny, come home. I need you tonight.
I need you tonight.
I need you tonight.
I need you tonight.
Coming item. I'll be introducing somebody to the programme who captained his first All-Ireland team to victory 50 years ago tomorrow, which is quite something, is it not? But before that, we have the model City set from Kilkenny. the marvellous city set from Kilkenny. Where wouldn't you get colours like that? Where else would they be from? We'll deal with some of that tomorrow, City, impartially. Having said that now, I'd like to show you a piece of archive film and see if you recognise somebody in this film now. Here we go.
The finalists for the All-Ireland Hurling Championship were Cork and Dublin, the same as last year. The president of the GAA threw in the ball and the game was on. Right from the beginning it was a real cracker. Cork pressed hard, but determined goalkeeping held them up time and time again. Cork were especially keen to win, for they had a chance of notching their 13th championship victory. That would have put them out ahead of Tipperary and Kilkenny, who have 12 wins each. Dublin fought stubbornly, but they couldn't keep Cork out. And when the final whistle blew, Cork had achieved their 13th victory by a margin of 7 points.
Captain of the Cork hurling team in 1942, winner of 6 All-Ireland medals later, and then Taoiseach Jack Lynch. Hi, Jack. That's 50 years of growing, Jack. Do you remember it at all? Have any memory of it?
Oh, I do well. I can't remember the detail of the game, but I remember certainly coming to Dublin. I remember particularly going back to Cork. And with the cup we stopped off at Blarney because the train would have gone in daylight. So we stayed in Blarney for a meal and perhaps a drink and came into Cork in the darkness, and we got a great reception. That I remember very well.
I was there for it. I was there for it. That wasn't your first All-Ireland, Jack?
No, I had played before that in 1939, the famous Thunder and Lightning. I unfortunately happened to be captain of that team as well. But we lost by the traditional 1 point at the end of the game by Kilkenny.
Are we going to let that happen tomorrow, Cork?
And I remember well that even though it was the day war was declared,
yes,
I was much more despondent about our defeat by Kilkenny that day than I was about the outbreak of war, about this great world catastrophe. But however, I recovered from both.
So you had 6 medals then, Jack. I believe we have a shot of those somewhere in the house, but you actually, that was 41, 2, 3, 4, 5 for football.
That's right.
And 6 for the hurling.
That's right.
That was it, man.
Well, I was playing with good teams, and I know a lot of good hurlers and footballers that never won an All-Ireland because they weren't lucky to get on good teams. Well, you have to be able to play fairly well to get onto good teams, but if you had good fellas around, you have a good chance. And we had a lot of good fellas around.
It's been commonly said about you, Mr. Lynch, that you're a very nice man. Were you that way on the field?
I don't know. I was never put off anyway.
I have very good memories. In fact, I remember the 1939 final, the Thunder and Light. I was 10 years old. And I remember looking at when the rain came, we all fled for cover under the stand. And I believe I'm right in saying that you lobbed in a lovely ball to Mika. Was that it? Down the end of it?
No, it was Mika lobbed it into me.
Yeah. And
it came right in the front of the square. And I came in just intending to hit it in the back of the net. I was no more than 10 yards out. The Kilkenny goalie looked in the back of the net. And next he saw the white flag going up. And if I tried ever since, I wouldn't have got a point from the same position. So
That's it.
it would have to be a goal.
Yeah,
So I was the culprit.
Yes. How about the great players, Jack? Who do you reckon the great players were?
Well, I played with and against great players, depending on at what level. Club level, I had people like Christy Ring, the great Pat Fox Collins, the greatest left-hander I ever saw, the Buckley brothers, Jim Young, Paddy O'Donovan, Joe Kelly. County level, we had men like John Quirk, Pat Thornhill, Willie Campbell, and Ring again, of course. And we had it's very invidious to start naming names because you're bound to forget it.
How about Kilkenny, Jack?
Well, Kilkenny, my first game against Kilkenny was, you just said, 1939. And I was marking probably one of the greatest halfbacks of his time, and probably ever since, Paddy Whalen. Paddy's Phelan, we call him. They call him Paddy Whalen in Kilkenny. He was a great halfback, and I remember well that very day because I got no change from Paddy Whalen, I can assure you. And Jimmy Langton was on that team.
Oh, yes, he broke our hearts that day.
And Terry Leahy, and Jimmy Walsh, he was there too.
It was Grace, Paddy Grace on it.
Paddy Grace was right full back, that's right.
How about that though, Jack, looking back upon that? I mean, you certainly played against and with Grace players in your time. And so what did the hurling do for you, do you guess? What was the formation there, you know?
I suppose it's part of my life because as kids we used to play in the division, the lane that divided the graveyard on the Shandon steeple as kids. We went to the North Morn, of course, hurling was the prime game there. Joined Glen Rovers in my early teens, and then played with Glen Rovers ever since. So it was, as I said, part of my life. And if you want to know what influence it had in my life, I suppose it progressed me into politics because if you were well known in Cork as a hurler, well, you had a good start anyway. And then shortly before I went into politics, I was called to the bar. So I was good political material.
I'm looking there, there still came up on air there a moment ago, and it's your brother Charlie. Father Charlie is dead now, God rest him. And the three brothers were on that team. Charlie was captain in football, St. Nick's, I think. And Finbar's there somewhere too, back at the back of that picture. There were three of them, and that's Jack. That's little Jack there on the right of the captain. Wasn't he a gorgeous kid? Anyway, and his brother, and the eldest brother was Theo. There were all of them. I believe Finbar once told me that the real hurling was played in the basement of that house in Bob and Joan.
Well, it was a little yard, a little garden we had there, and I can assure you, if you were able to avoid being hurt, you would avoid being hurt anywhere because it was no more than about probably, say, 20 yards square, and there were fierce games, and I can assure you that my mother didn't like to see us. She often called a halt. She blew a whistle, and we wanted to stop.
So if things got too rough, the mother would summon them out of the tree and belt them out of the house at the back end of a hurling. That's the story I had from them. What about that? I see some people in the audience there, some of the past presidents of the GA. Pat Fanning is down front there. Pat, you played against Jack in the Hartley Cup final, was it?
1935, I think, Monsain and Le Mans. But even then he was a star not in the making, but a star already made. And it's pretty obvious what was going to happen. Incidentally, if I may say something, he's a man of many parts, politician and statesman, leader of a great national political party, and all the rest of it. But when a time comes to write his epitaph, I believe he will be satisfied with one of Ireland's noblest and most illustrious of hurlers. And I think that is his claim to fame as far as the great mass of Irish people are concerned.
Thank you. Well, good job. Somebody who said to me once that when you were in a tight corner, who you wanted near you was Jack Lynch, and that was Jim Young, Dr. Jim Young.
Yes,
he died recently.
Jim died about just a little over 2 weeks ago. No, in fact, 2 weeks to the very day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I heard that on Sunday morning, whatever Sunday it was, 2 weeks ago. I was on my way to the airport, and it broke my heart. I wasn't able to go to the funeral. But he was a tremendous character, Jim Young. Man of great heart. I think I said in the tribute I phoned to the Cork Examiner before I went to the airport that he was a kind of a man. He was so dedicated, he had so much determination that in the course of a game that he could do something that even if a team is flagging, he'd lift the team.
Yes, yes.
And we won many a game that otherwise we would have lost, except for Jim Young's example.
That's wonderful. Con Murphy is there out front also. Con, of course, you played on that team in 1946, is that right, Con?
Oh, I played a bit earlier than that.
Did you?
I'd hate to say it now.
When did you start, Con?
I played with Jack when he captained the team in 42, 50 years ago. And I think Jack, you know, was really underrated as a hurler. I think he was one of the most brilliant hurlers around in his era. And I think there's no question about that. He was one of the most versatile players you could find. Played from, say, even the half-back line to the full forward line. Competent in every position, beat everybody he ever met, I think, in any of these positions. I'm not overstating it. I played on teams with him for a long time. I played against him as well, but not on him. I was fortunate. And I refereed matches where I saw him playing, and I really think that his overall contribution to the game of hurling, as Pat Fanning has said, was monumental during his career. he was also one of these men that always carried himself with the greatest of dignity, and that natural humility, if you know what I mean by that, that made him a most acceptable person. Even if he punished you, you wouldn't do much about it, if you know what I mean.
Paddy, what about that, Paddy Buggy? If he punished you, can't say he wouldn't do much. You weren't there.
I saw him play. My first All-Ireland was 1947, the first one that I saw. And it still stands out in my memory as the greatest hurling game that I ever saw.
Of course, there's a very good reason why it would stand out in your memory.
We won by a pint. The score was 14 pints to 2-7. And Jack won 6 All-Irelands in a row, 45 the football. But as he said already, for a pint in 39 and a pint in 47, he would have won 8 in a row. Yeah. And I think that there's no greater tribute he proved himself on the field. He was a forceful, strong, skillful hurler, a great leader, and an outstanding individual. And the tribute I would pay to Jack is that, irrespective as Taoiseach or as a hurling man or as an Irish man, he was a man of the people, and still is.
I saw the still going up there, Con. Did you see that of yourself?
Say what an inspirational captain he was. And even when he wasn't captain, he was still an inspiration because he was a man of his time, not so much now, but then, who had an overall view of every game during the game, even though he was playing himself, and could contribute to making suggestions of one thing or another that would be helpful to win, apart at all from his own part as a player.
I saw still going up there a moment ago, and this is of Jack presenting you with the Harty Cup in the Northman, with Brother Lee standing, I believe I'm right in saying, in the middle between you. That was about 1942, was it? 40?
That was 1941, I think.
41,
41,
right, yeah.
I think, from memory.
I see, Con Murphy, you were, of course, an illustrious president of the GA, and you're also a referee. I believe I'm right in saying that you once put an illustrious bishop off the field, is that right? Did you suspend him?
Well, I did, but I didn't, not for misdemeanor on the field now, but I don't know, should I say this, my lord, but he was a kind of a journeyman player. And every diocese and every parish he went into it without any of the trimmings of transfers or anything. He went along and he played. So I was secretary of the county board, and naturally he had to go off the field at some point to put him right, if you know what I mean.
The man is talking about the bishop is right behind him, Bishop John Buckley. How far did it? John, Bishop John, your claim to fame.
Out of the love of the game, just as Jack, he loved the games, and he still loves them.
Was Bishop John any use? Was he good? Speak for yourself, Bishop John.
He was in demand.
Well, I was playing with Sarsfield's seniors, Liam, when I was in Maynooth, and they went through a lean period at that time. So during the summer months, I was relatively free, and any invitation I got from any club, I decided to accept the request, with the result that I got into some difficulties with Con, our esteemed former president, and I was asked for an explanation. So I wrote a very abject apology to Con, and I got a very short suspension of 6 months, which had expired, had expired, of course, when I returned from Maynooth the following summer. So I was free to carry on again, but I abided by the rules from then on.
John, you're a bowl player. That's what
Yes.
Bishop John Buckley is. Do people know what the game of bowls is? Anybody from Antrim, Armagh, isn't it, and Cork is where the game of bowls are. And Bishop John Buckley is a champion bowl player. Now, I think he deserves a special bowl of boss for that one. Anyway, we're going to have a bit of fun and crack for the rest of the night around here. But I think I'm right in saying, Jack, that you're whom I knew slightly. I used to see him as a boy going up and down Mulgrave Road. Your father, God rest him. And I think I'm right in saying that he was from out Bantry Way, is that right?
Yes, he was born within about 3 miles of Bantry town. He used to go to holidays to the area from which he came.
And I thought that on your 75th birthday, I think it was on the 15th of August, is that right?
That's right.
75th birthday and your 50th anniversary of captaining the Cork hurling team, I thought we'd have another illustrious Corkman, Finbar Wright, sing Bantry Bay for you.
Lovely.
As I'm sitting all alone in the gloaming, it might have been but yesterday. their sails all homing, till the little herring fleet at anchor lay. Then the fisher girls with baskets swinging came running down the old Sconway. Every lassie to her sailor lad was singing a welcome back to Bantry Bay. Then we heard the piper's sweet note tuning, and all the lassies turned to hear, as they mingled with a soft voice droning, till the music floated down the wooden pier. Save your kindly Collins all, said the piper, hands across and trip it while I play. And the tender sound of song and merry dancing stole softly over Bantry Bay. As I'm sitting all alone and dreaming, the shadows of the past draw near, and I see the loving faces round me that used to glad the old brown field. Some are gone upon their last love toaming, some are left, but they are old and gray. And we're waiting for the tide in the gloaming to sail upon the great highway to the land of rest unending, all peacefully from Bantry Bay.
Please, because that's a please, because that's a very deserving thing. Peter Quinn, President of the GAA. There is something new afoot, I understand, with regard to the Artane Boys Band.
That's right, Liam. They're being re-equipped and they're getting new uniforms. And in fact, tomorrow we'll have the presentation of the new McCarthy Cup for the first time. And tomorrow too, the Artane Boys Band will appear in Crook Park and parade with their new uniforms. And I suppose we'll need a draw to pay for all the expenditure we've incurred in the McCarthy Cup and the new uniforms. But tonight will be the last appearance anyway of the Artane Boys Band in the old uniforms. They've been collecting money. The fundraising has been going on now for a number of months. The target was somewhere between 400,000 and 450,000. And already about 210,000 has been collected. The response, particularly from the commercial sector, has been the corporate sector of the country, and it's been right across the country, and the response has been tremendous. So they're already about halfway to their target, or maybe a little bit better than halfway, and we would hope to be somewhere of the order of £400,000 by the end of the year.
Where do you get subscriptions sent to? Where are we to send them to?
Well, you can send subscriptions to Artane School, and of course if you send them to Croke Park, we promise not to put them in our own bank account. We'll remit them immediately.
Okay. There just seems to be Artane Boys Band, Artane Dublin 5. It's very simple, is it not? Artane Boys Band, Artane, Dublin 5, and indeed they've done the state some service and are well indeed entitled to our support. Are they not? We'll have our own Las Vegas in the hills of Donegal with the boys again. Goats don't shave. Here we go.
What smoke? Never shot a chair. Las Vegas in the hills of Donegal with Goats Don't Shave. Well, they get lovely names for groups nowadays. Don't ask me to explain. It's a great name, so it is. Anyway, what we have here is lovely black and amber colours up that end. Kilkenny, I hope. Anybody else here from Kilkenny tonight? What about it? What's your chances tomorrow?
We hope so, anyway.
Yeah.
We'll certainly be there. We've got this far, so I don't think we're going to let it slip. We've been defeated in the last two, so we mean business this time. I think Nicky and the boys there have done a good job and have picked this team fairly well, and we can only hope for the best. We have every confidence now, lads, tomorrow.
I see an illustrious face of a great hurler in his time, Mick Morrissey from Wexford, over from New York. Full of us from Mick. There you are, Mick. Well, Mick. What years were those, Mick, that you played with?
55, 56 and 60.
You won it in 56 anyway, I remember that very well.
We beat Cork, I think.
Oh, I remember it very well. Although Ringy, God rest him, Jack, Christy Ring said to me down at Bobby said to me at Bobby Rackard at Ringy's funeral in Clyne, he said that was the single best game of hurling he ever played, was against Christy Ring that day, and there was the foul stroke from beginning to end.
That's true.
You remember it, Mick?
That's true. They were two great players.
And Artie stops. Do you remember Artie Foley stopping the goal? And Ringy running in to shake hands with him? Do you think he was shaking hands with him or something else?
You heard what Ringy's said. You heard the story, right?
What?
And the gentleman that's not too well tonight, Michael O'Hare, and we all wish him luck. Artie, Ringy is supposed to have said to Artie, "You little black soul, so you beat us."
That's what he said.
You heard that?
I didn't. No, I would never hear things like that. We have an illustrious minister with us from Cork City, Danny Wallace. Danny, were you any use on the field at all?
Not very used at all, no.
Oh.
Very short hurling career. But
Short hurling career. Which there was nobody from the north side who wasn't a hurler. Was he? What's good? His son is good, is he? Yeah. There was a brilliant hurler in his time from the Loch Rovers. Bill Connell. How can you know it's there? What? You did, you were good.
I was at the table.
What were you like, Bill? Were you any use?
I was hopeless, Liam.
Yeah.
Hopeless. But it's not going to hear great stories tonight about great games from great people. But I think it's a bonus if you have a bit of humour thrown into the games. And a lovely little story I have about, remember the famous day that John Finton got the goal in Thurles against Limerick? It went into the net, it was like a hose on the back of the net, remember?
It went in like a golf ball.
You're dead on. Well, I'm not making this up now, but I was chatting to Dinny Conroy outside under the stand, you know, leaning, waiting for the traffic to go away, chatting about the match. And there was a real cockford that came up to Dinny, and he abused Dinny, he spoke in Dinny, with divers tongues about the tickets Dinny gave him. Dinny says, "See, the tickets you gave me were mouldy," says he. "I didn't even see Finton's goal." And like in Conroy couldn't see, "What are you talking about, boy?" says I. Says he, "The Limerick goalkeeper was nearer than you, and he didn't see it either." Going back to the last Munster final between Cork and Limerick down the park, and it was a fantastic match for Cork. It was an easy old win, as you know. And towards the end of the match, there was a crowd of Limerick fellas and Cork, we were all around. And the crack was mighty, you know, my word of honour. And when, remember, Limerick got the 3 goals, and a Limerick fella with his flag and his hat and everything turned to a Cork fella next to him, says he, "Tell me," says he, "how long have we got?" And then the Cork fella says, 12 months.
Stand up at the back on the other side. Stand up, Paddy Ahern, am I right? Stand up, Paddy, till we see you. Stand up, Paddy Head. That man, I believe I'm right in saying, is the owner of more All-Ireland medals than anybody in the country at the present time. Now, he hasn't won them. What's the explanation of it?
Well, Liam, my father was Gahern, and he had 4 senior and 1 junior. Balti, his brother, 5. And of course, on the other side, in the Collins were my uncles, Judy Collin and John. So in the 1931 Cork team, I had my father and 3 uncles, and one of the uncles was captain.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a total of 23 senior All-Irelands, 1 junior, and for good measure, 3 camogie, one by my aunt Kathleen, who was Collin, her maiden name was Collin.
So you're 23 in all?
That's right.
Beat that in 1 act. And there's a... What have you, Paddy?
Count of 1, Liam.
Count of 1, is it, Paddy? That's, what year is that?
57.
57. Oh, against Waterford, was it Pat Paddy? Pat, have you any? No medals at all? That's a sadness. What about the minors, Pat, tomorrow?
Well, I thought you'd never reach it.
What about it tomorrow?
Because it's well to remember, like, that the All-Ireland occasion is a two-game festival.
Yes.
And I think the minor tomorrow may be the highlight of the day.
Yes.
Certainly, we in Waterford believe, we know we have a good team. We hear that Galway are equally good. Therefore, I do believe that you will have a classic minor contest tomorrow, and I'm hoping for a Waterford win. But in any event, it's going to be a game to remember.
Yeah, the miners don't get enough notice right enough. And they are the seedbed, are they not, for all of the teams throughout the years. There's a man, Shastu, it's just we see a man who is going to be his 100th All-Ireland in Croke Park tomorrow. Stand up, please, give us a look at you. There you are, just let's see the man. There, 100th All-Ireland in Croke Park tomorrow. I think I just would like to say, I'll leave the final word with Jack Lynch, because we really have here a great game. And you'd say the great hurlers of the past, Christy Ring, Jim Young, Jimmy Langton, all the great hurlers of Kilkenny and Tipperary and the rest of it. Jack, you have a little comment to wind up this one with, have you not?
Well, now, before I go to that, would you mind if I tell a little story about Gar Harlan, the father of the man at the back there? In the late 20s, Cork were playing Tipperary in a Munster final. And as usually, in those days, the Wolfstone Square was packed with people. And there was Father Eddie Fitzgerald, who was one of the mentors, one of the selectors of the Cork team. And he decided to call the team into Hayes' Hotel. And he met Guy. Guy, get in over the cup of tea before the match. And Guy looked at him. Father Eddie was the brother of Sir Edward Fitzgerald, Sir John Fitzgerald, who got his title because of the 1911 exhibition in Cork. Oh, and Guy looked at him. Is it tea, Father? And we playing Tipperary.
Jack, what about that comment, though, that Christy Ring, I believe it was, came out with?
Well, Ring, of course, as we all know, well, a lot of us believe he was the greatest. I'm not going to say that he was greater than Mick Mackey and a lot of other people. It's a very subjective subject. But Ring wrote in 1973 in a little booklet that Glenroe published under the title The Spirit of the Glen. And Ring wrote about his playing days. And at the end of that article, it was a beautiful piece of prose, in my opinion. He said, "My hurling days are over. Let nobody say that the best hurlers belong to the past. They are with us now, and better yet to come." I thought it was a wonderful story.
Sean, quick word on a hot plate. What is it, Sean? Very quick. Sean, what is it? Come on, Sean.
I would not like to let the occasion pass without making one reference to a record that Jack Lynch holds. Jack Lynch, around the 1945-46, he played hurling in Dublin with civil service. But on a Sunday morning, he played against my club Owen Row, and I was playing that day against Jack. He started in goal. He went out to midfield. He went down and scored a few points. He dressed, got a bus down to Croke Park, played with Munster in football, scored in that game, and he turned out with the Munster hurlers in the second game, and he also scored in that game. So Jack Lynch has a record of playing in 3 matches on the one day and scoring in all 3.
Oh, that's nice, right? Okay, Farir gohfuil tá deire déanta going an son nachtanis, agus caiimid cíoch chur leis seo. Tá mé fíomhhuiirta Jack, agus Peter Quinn, agus Nicky, agus Tom as teachtan son nacht. I'm grateful to you all, the lovely audience, and for all the lovely performers. The goal continues for a little bit longer. 6,500 quid, it's at this stage, so please continue on to send in bids for that lovely trophy of Jarlath Dailies. Now then, Slámig is Bannacht. Good day on Nail Deir. That's to say on the 19th, this night, fortnight, we'll be back with Donegal in Dublin for another Up for the Final. To take us out tonight, the Artane Boys Band in the old uniform. Artane Boys.
Was na Cayman